Good morning, Moonies! Welcome back to Witches of the Moon. I'm so excited to be back with you all for season 12. I just want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for your continued support over the years. We really have enjoyed making these videos for you and interacting with you all as a community, and we really appreciate your support and your participation. This season, we're bringing you a lot of good topics once again. Some of these are topics that may have been covered in the past by the channel, but we're going to try to either approach them from a new perspective, or because we do have new hosts, you always get new perspectives. This season's lineup is the same as last, so don't panic thinking that somebody has left us. No, but some of these hosts were not around when these topics were covered the first time through. So these were things that were requested by viewers for us to cover. And although I do like to direct them to the previous videos, we thought it warranted maybe revisiting some of those topics. The first topic this season is charging tools. Now, when you are a new witch, you want to do everything right? You go through and you read all the books and you watch all the videos and you listen to all the podcasts. And, you know, I get this topic a lot about how important is it to charge your tools. Now, I don't want to decry or somehow downplay the importance of charging tools if it's important for you. I'm just going to give you my perspective. Over my years of practice, I have discovered that for me personally, it is not necessary to continuously charge or recharge tools, with a few exceptions. There are some things that I do use frequently for multiple purposes, like my crystals, and I will try to cleanse those periodically and charge them either in the sun or in the moon, and I'll get to that in a second. To re-imbue them with powers, or if I personally feel that the power within that particular tool is not where it should be. It's kind of like recharging a battery on a drill, right? You want to recharge it so that you get the full out of it. And sometimes if I use a tool over and over again for multiple purposes, all of that energy and all of that working gets kind of muddled up. So I will then cleanse and recharge those tools, such as my crystals, sometimes my athame. I don't generally have to recharge every tool I have, like candles and herbs and my besom and things like that, statuary. I will refresh my altars periodically and kind of recharge some of the things that I'm putting on my altars just to freshen it for the god or goddess. And I will, freshen up the offerings, but that's more dealing with the specificity of deity worship than it is charging a tool. So I'm not saying that charging tools isn't important or necessary. I think in some cases it can be. I just found that for myself, it's not something I have to do every full moon. So if I forget to put my crystals out under the full moon, or if, oh my gosh, I forgot to put this out today and let it charge in the sun, then, then I'm not gonna be as about it as I was when I was first really walking into practice as an open practicing witch. That being said, as I've mentioned, there are some times when you may want to charge a tool when it's new to you. If it's a tool that you've just created or just purchased, I find that it's always a good idea to cleanse the tool, especially if it's not something you made yourself. But to consecrate that tool to its purpose by charging it and giving it a cleansing and so forth, that kind of imbues into that tool the energy for which you're going to be using it in workings. And so in that case, I definitely think it's important. I think it's important to cleanse any tool that you do not make yourself. If it's something you bought from a shop, even from a good friend, you just want to make sure that you cleanse that out. And how the hell does he always know? So sorry for that interruption. Somehow the man knows when I'm going to do one of these videos. I was waiting for him to leave to go see a client so that I would be uninterrupted, and he left like an hour ago, and he just called. He still hasn't made it to the client, but he waits until I was finishing a report. I thought, oh good, I've got a little bit of time. I'm going to squeeze this video in, that way I won't get interrupted, and somehow he always knows. So anyway, getting back to the topic at hand, charging tools. Now, a lot of people think that you have to charge your tools in the moonlight. And in some cases, that may be true. It depends on your purpose, right? But I find that charging certain tools in the sun also works well. Now, some tools should never see the light of day. And what I mean by that is specifically scrying mirrors. Scrying mirrors are meant to be used in the dark, in the dark, in the dark. And they should not be exposed to the sunlight because it does affect their functionality and their purpose. Tools that I charge in the sun would be things like my crystal ball. I charged her in the sun because I wanted light to see, because I'm using that for sight, correct? Yes. So I saw fit to charge my Lucille in the sunlight. I use both the sun and the moon to charge my Athame because I want to imbue it with the powers of masculine divinity and female divinity. I find that charging certain crystals in the sun also, specifically those that are correlated with Mercury or anything to do with the sun, Mars also, fire elements, I tend to associate with charging in the sun. So those are things that I'll charge in the sun. Certain things I charge in the dark would be other types of scrying materials, other types of crystals, things like that I'll charge in the moonlight because I equate them with feminine, divine, feminine mysteries, spiritual mysteries, and general witchcraft, things like that. So things like that I will charge in the moonlight. Some tools I even charge in the new moon, not in the full moon. And those would be things that I consider related to the Morrigan, or tools that I'm using in relation to the Morrigan. Certain crystals that I reserve for working with the Morrigan, certain decks of tarot cards, I will charge those at the time of a new moon. And I always have some sort of an enchantment that I use with that when I'm charging those, because she's associated with the dark moon, not with the full moon. So that is kind of my spiel on charging tools. How do you charge them, you ask? Well, there's a lot of various different ways. You can place them out in the sunlight. I always include some sort of an enchantment, or in the moonlight, however you're charging it. You can give an enchantment when you place them out there. You can simply make a statement. I am placing these tools to be charged with the energy of blah, 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 for this purpose or for this reason. Okay? You don't even have to verbally say it, although we feel that words have power, right? Because our words are carried on air. It's a vibration. It's an energy. It carries with it a force. And so using a spoken word, I find, helps to imbue that energy just a little bit more, and I feel it more when I hold the tool. Now, there are those who say that witchcraft is bullshit, magic is bullshit, none of this matters, and this is all crap. But if any of you believe that, I don't think you'd be watching this channel. It is my experience that science does not explain everything, that much of today's science was yesterday's witchcraft, and that energy is indeed all around you with everything, and that you can manipulate energies, hence the light, right? Switch on a light bulb and tell me that you can't manipulate the energies around you. So, we use crystals to power lasers and to channel energies all the time. So I feel that it's there and it's important. And quite frankly, in my hearing science class in both undergraduate and graduate work, I found that everything on this planet has a fundamental frequency. That means it's imbued with certain energies of its own. So sometimes charging a tool is just aligning that energy with your purpose energetically, right? So is it absolutely direly necessary to charge your tools? Not necessarily. I think in some ways you charge it the minute you pick it up, touch it, and use it with an intention. However, to have a purposeful charging of a tool simply helps to align your spiritual and mental energies to the use of that tool, and it helps to imbue it with the energies for which you plan to use that tool. So that's my take on it, folks. Take it or leave it. I look forward to seeing what the other hosts have to say about this topic, and I look forward to answering any questions or comments. Please keep them polite and honest in nature in the comments below. Thanks so much, and welcome again back to season 12 of Witches the Moon. Love you.